What's going on, my friends? Welcome to another episode of Diner Talks with James. I'm James, and I'm pumped to be here with you, kicking it in the diner. Y'all, this is what you know about me. If you've been listening to the show, you know there is one thing that I consistently crap on, and it's the state of New Jersey. So I'm now defying all odds and having a guest from the state of New Jersey just to show you that I talk shit, but I still show love, because I love Jersey. Here's the problem. I grew up on Long Island, and the Long Island and New Jersey are basically the same exact population, and that's why we make fun of ourselves. We try to pretend like we are different, but we are not. We're just trying to find differences. Alas, my friends, Jersey is New York. I don't want to talk about it ever again, but we're going to jump in with my boy, Tom McGovern. Tom and I have met only a few times, but each time has been memorable. I've heard his beautiful chops. I have got to witness him perform. He's got to see me perform. We've freestyled together. I do a little freestyle rap. I don't talk a lot about that on here, but anyway, but still, you meet somebody and like, there's something about this dude. And I think you'll see that there is just something about him. But let me tell you about him before we bring him out. He is a musical comedian, actor, producer. And yes, he was born in New Jersey. His award-winning musical sketch comedy has been featured in festivals across the U.S., Europe, and you may have caught him in an off-Broadway show as Jim Halpert / Andy Bernard in The Office, a musical parody. Tom recently won the grand prize in the Glad Jingle contest. Put that in your Ziploc bag. And was featured on season 4 of American Idol. Maybe you've heard of it. He got to perform one of his jingles for Katy Perry. Speaking of plastic bags, Lionel Richie and Luke Bryan. Tom's got a brand new comedy band out called the Wolves of Glendale. Check them out on Instagram, Wolves of Glendale. They're playing a bunch of shows on the West Coast. And also, Tom made a point to tell me that, James, make sure when you introduce me, you say that sharks deserve more love in the media. Well, this is the media, friends. So here we are. I'm doing what we got to do. And I agree, as a marine biology major. But enough about me. Let's learn more about Tom. Bring him out right now. My guy, Tom McGovern.
Whoa. Okay. I mean, a lot to acknowledge right off the bat. First of all, unbelievable introduction. I could have listened to 15 more minutes of that. Okay. Second of all, I don't even know where to start. Can we start with before we dig into any of my boring BS here,
Yeah.
Marine biology major?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I have a Bachelor of Science in Marine Biology.
What?
That's a fun fact right there. Yeah, when in high school, I had to make a decision if I wanted to go to school for marine biology because I wanted to be the next Jacques Cousteau,
Right.
or if I wanted to go to school for theater. And I told myself, I said, I think that I should get a degree in something that's more concrete. And then if theater or the stage is in my life, then that's really more about having enough talent and putting yourself in front of the right people. So I don't necessarily need a degree for that. This is what I thought in high school. I've since learned that there is some value in theater degrees. So I'm not shitting on everybody with those degrees right now, but that's why I went to school for marine biology.
Respect, man. That is very cool. That was a dream. Ironically, we kind of have both sides of the same coin because I was going to go one of two ways. It was either going to be theater or marine biology. And I started as journalism, switched to theater halfway through, but I ended up with a theater degree. So that's so funny.
Incredible. That's awesome. Yeah. I could have switched halfway through. Around my junior year, I realized I was putting too many jokes in my scientific papers. My teachers were like, I don't think this is for you. And I was like, you know what? I think you're right.
Yeah.
But I was already almost done. So we just went ahead and finished the race.
Wow.
Fell across the finish line. Did not finish with flying colors, but we got it done.
We got it done. That's what life is, isn't it?
It is. It is indeed.
Yeah, just falling across the finish line.
At least you made it.
At least you made it.
Hey, look, Mom, I made it.
Yeah.
So yeah, brother. Yeah, that's a fun fact about me that probably hasn't come up in our casual conversations.
Yeah, I had no idea. I love sharks, so like anytime that I meet a marine biologist, I have the utmost respect and I'm fascinated. So,
and that's if I pursued marine biology and thought about maybe wanting to do research. I wanted to go into ichthyology, which is the study of fishes, and sharks was the goal. I wanted to study sharks, and so yeah. So I am here for Shark Week. Is the best week of the year.
Of course.
I don't know why it's not Shark Month. I mean, when
Yeah,
does a
I
shark
know.
get its own month? But but yes, I agree. When did your fascination with sharks start? Did you go to? You're from Jersey. Did you go to the Camden Aquarium and see them? Did you just
Hell
watch
yeah.
TV? Like, what was it?
Yeah, I think it started when I was a kid. My mom's sister was very into, she was into fishing, she was in marine life. My grandfather was a captain on a charter boat, and
Awesome.
so he used to go out onto the water all the time. I was too young to really experience that with him before he passed away, but we did go out on the boat a couple times. Anytime we were in his house, he had this big office, and the office was like wood paneled. It looked like
As it
the
should
whole,
be.
yeah, the inside hull of a ship. It smelled like cigars, and there were pictures of, marine life and all sorts of stuff. And so I think it wasn't even an active, like, you should appreciate marine life kind of thing. I think just by osmosis, I developed an appreciation for fish and for the ocean. I've always felt kind of connected to, if I had to choose an element, water would be my element.
Yeah.
I just always felt kind of connected. And growing up in Jersey, by the Jersey Shore and stuff like that, the beach was always part of my life. And then there's something about sharks that I just found I still find fascinating. They're just, I think they're the perfect, close to a perfect creature / predator. So I think it's pretty rad.
They are incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I love that, man. What a cool story. It's my grandfather was not wasn't a charter fisherman or anything like that. He was just obsessed with fishing.
Yeah.
But I also lost him too soon. And he died when I was 7. And so some of the few memories that I have are of fishing with him. And he wasn't a cigar guy. He was a pipe guy.
There you go.
And so now whenever, I don't know if this is the same for you, whenever you smoke cigars, does it take you back to that office almost immediately? Because whenever I smell a pipe, it takes me right back to his front porch.
Yep. Anytime I smell it, just like you said, it's just, also, that's the most grandpa shit in the world. A pipe and a cigar. It's just
I'm into it. I
hope when we're grandfathers, we're over there, you're puffing pipe and that big stogie.
That's how we know that's how we know we've done right? Full circle. Yep. Yeah. I love that, man. Yeah, I agree. I just went to the Atlanta Aquarium recently, and the Atlanta. I don't know if you've been to it.
Oh yeah.
But they have the whale sharks, which are incredible.
Right.
They are now, I believe, the only. They are also now currently the only aquarium that has tiger sharks. Which is really cool. They have a new shark exhibit, and they got these hammerheads swimming around, and tiger sharks, and a few others. It's an incredible exhibit.
Wow, it's easily my favorite aquarium that I've ever been to. The tank is amazing.
It's top notch.
Yeah,
excellent.
Top-notch
that's great.
tank.
That's a good time to bring up one of our sponsors, the Atlanta Aquarium. It's not true. I wish it was. I should work on that actually. I get a referral code for that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be sick. I'll help you in any way I can. I'll help you.
Thank you. That's on the record. So Tom, like you mentioned, you grew up in Jersey. What part of Jersey did you grow up in?
Little town called Allentown. It's right near Six Flags.
Allentown. Okay, not by Six Flags. Yep. So kind of, if there was a central Jersey, that's where you grew up.
Oh, James. Are you a non-believer? Are you a non-believer in the central?
I just know it's a shit talking thing or in around Jersey.
Yes,
and so I like to pick fights where I can. Now, are you pork roll or Taylor ham?
Pork roll. What do you think this is? Come on. I'm not a lunatic.
I'm not a lunatic.
It's pork roll.
Oh, I don't even know how to describe that argument to the listeners. So maybe, I don't know, if you want to give it a shot, you can, but I don't even know if it's worth it.
Here, I'll try to sum it up. Pork roll and Taylor ham are the same exact thing, but for some reason, people that live in, correct me if I'm wrong, if you know, I think the northern half of New Jersey generally chooses Taylor ham and the southern chooses pork roll. I consider myself smack dab in the middle, but I guess it's South Central if I had to choose. And so it's always been pork roll on all the menus in my town. It's pork roll. So
Same exact thing. It's a random thing.
Yeah.
Jersey's like, hey, we like to fight. Let's figure out
Yeah.
another way we can fight.
Yeah, let's make an issue
Yeah,
that has to do with a breakfast meat.
Yep, exactly. This is kind of what we're talking about with, as you heard in my intro, about New Yorkers and Long Islanders in particular, and people from Jersey. That's kind of same thing. Taylor ham and pork roll, where it's the same exact shit, but we just give each other crap.
Does Long Island have that? Does Long Island have the pork roll Taylor ham split? Or
no, it doesn't. I'm using that as an analogy.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, Long Island. I mean, Taylor ham is, if we do have anything, it would be Taylor ham, but it's usually just bacon or Canadian bacon or whatever. So, but yeah. But anyway, so growing up in Jersey, you're in Allentown, no stranger to a diner, my friend, especially because you also spent many years of your life living in New York City. And so here's my question that I got to ask, brother. What is your late night diner move? What do you get? And you and I, after a show, we're leaving whatever that's green, whatever it is in Times Square, and we're going to a diner. What do we get?
Okay, I'm not a complicated man, James. I get a traditional. Once it hits 11, I basically 11 p.m. I usually circle back to breakfast. 80% of the time, I'm going classic: scrambled eggs, crispy bacon, hash browns, side of wheat toast dry with some grape jelly. Can't go wrong. Decaf coffee. I'll have that 80% of the time. If for some reason I need something a little more savory, it's always going to be a grilled chicken wrap with honey mustard, lettuce, tomato, red onion, side of crispy fries or sweet potato fries if they have them. But it's only one of those two things.
That's it. That's all we're doing.
That's it.
What is the rest of this 14-page menu even for? I don't understand it, right? Yeah. Who's ordering the T-bone back here? Who's getting a gimlet of anything back here?
Who is getting a steak at a diner? Have you ever met someone that's done that?
I have. Yeah. They did, at least they did steak and eggs, which I feel like is like it's like the least classy way to order steak.
Exactly.
And therefore, but anyway, but still, I respect the order. I sometimes do scramble with cheese if I'm feeling a little edgy.
Okay.
The dry toast was intriguing to me. Dry toast, no butter.
No.
And then we're doing a classic grape jelly on there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm a great boy.
I'm a great boy.
I'm a great boy.
I read that actually.
Tom McGovern, great boy from central New Jersey.
Yeah.
I just said southern. What the fuck?
Oh, geez, look at that. I already see a song coming out about being great boys. Great boys, throw your hands up. Strawberry, sit down.
Great boys, throw your hands up.
Throw your hands up. I love it. Okay, that's a classic order. Now, when it comes to your hash browns, you said you order your bacon crispy. I also order my hash browns crispy because I'm not trying to just chew on like a raw potato.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never considered doing that, but now I regret it. If I get home fries, I'll ask for crispy home fries, but for some reason I never think to ask for crispy hash browns. So
yeah. I like my Spuds crispy. And actually, in a recent episode of this podcast, I talked to a French fry connoisseur, and we were talking about how steak fries are the least superior of the French fries because of their lack of crisp.
Yeah. Well, it's mostly just potato. It's basically just a mashed potato wrapped in a little shell of crisp.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, you get it. All right. Well, we don't need to rehash that out. We don't need to rehash brown that out. All right. I regret everything. Let's keep moving. So I love it, man. So growing up in Allentown, what was your childhood like, man? What you got siblings? Are your parents in your life? I say all those things sensitively just in case there's something that I don't know. But tell me about growing up.
Yeah, I've got I'm one of 4 siblings. So I have one of 4 children. I have 3 siblings. Older brother named Drew. He's a doctor of physical therapy. Then there's me. And then I have 2 younger sisters. Sam is a preschool teacher in Jersey. And Tori is a nursing assistant. She got a neuroscience degree from Pitt. So I'm the, how do you say, dumb one that decided to go for theater arts. Oh yeah, artsy. That's an interesting way to pronounce dumb, James. And yeah, both my parents are still in my life. My mom, and my dad, incredibly supportive from the beginning. When I decided I wanted to switch to theater, they said, "What are you waiting for? Go for it." So growing up, it was a loud, super loud house, really tight family unit. I'm really uh, fortunate and blessed to have had that. I kind of had the wind behind my back. I've kind of had the wind on my back my entire life, and I'm really grateful for that. So, and it's all because of the unit, so the family unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the way you put that, the wind behind your back. That's I grew up very similarly with the wind behind my back. And some of that is that camaraderie of family. Some of it's privilege, some of it's, a whole bunch of stuff, but yeah, well put for sure.
Yep.
That's beautiful, man. So you're number 2 in line. And you got some siblings that are doing some cool stuff. And when you were growing up, was I know you at one point you said you made the decision to follow theater, but like was acting where like, you see a loud family? Are you all putting on shows for your parents behind the couch and doing puppet shows? Like was acting, was theater, even though you didn't call it that, always a part of you?
Yeah, I think that, music was a pretty instrumental part of my growing up. No one really played music. My mom was a singer, but there was always music playing in my house. We always had little dance parties where we'd put on, I specifically remember for some reason, it was like a Little Mermaid mixtape. And,
Yes.
there's like, I just remember Sebastian had a song that was just a ripper. And we just used to throw it on and dance around regularly. Tons of home videos of us just goofing off. So when I got to middle school, I think 4th grade or 5th grade, we did like a little middle school version of a musical. And then once we started doing real shows in 6th grade, we did The Music Man. 7th grade, I forget what we did. I did Annie in 8th grade, and I just fell in love with it. Yeah. And then in high school, I did musicals, but my brother was an athlete. And so when I got to high school, he's 2 years older than me. He was a junior and I was a freshman. He was already flying colors through basically every sport that he touched. So when I got in, I was not known as Tom. I was known as Drew's brother. And I was expected to be an athlete. And so I played football. We went 0-12.
Nice.
I didn't contribute. I did contribute to that record. And then in the spring semester, I ran track. I pole vaulted. I cleared 7.6 one time. You start at 7 and you go up in increments of 6. So it's not an impressive height. and then the next fall, I auditioned for Thoroughly Modern Millie, and I booked Jimmy, which is the lead role for the dude. And then I fell in love with it. And that was it. There's no going back. So
no going back.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Now, did you know, like as a younger brother, did you know that your brother was a stud even before you got to high school? Was he someone that you looked up to? Was someone that you appreciated? What kind of an older brother was he?
Yeah, for sure. We definitely butted heads until college. And we got along, and there was always, like I said, like my dad really reinforced, like you have your family's back all the time. Sunday was always family day. Family comes first no matter what. Our whole lives is like that. So like, obviously I loved my brother, but like any teenage boys that live in the same house, you're gonna get on each other's nerves. And we shared a room our entire lives. So we had bunk beds when we were kids, and then through high school, his bed was in the corner of a room, my bed was in the corner of the room. So like I that also another conversation helped me later in college to have roommates and learn how to share a space with people and whatnot.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I always admired him and looked up to him because he's my older brother, and I thought he was badass, and he's always been like super strong and just a great older brother. But I used to take his clothes all the time because I valued that. I used to wear his hats, and he loved his hats. He used to get so pissed off, and we used to get on each other's nerves. But I definitely did respect him. So
yeah. You got to find those ways. You got to needle at people, right? We can't just let people get away with being great.
Of course. Of course.
Everybody's got someone who could take them down a peg.
Right.
But yeah, that's awesome. That's beautiful. Yeah. And I would imagine, as someone who never had a roommate, even in college, I didn't have a roommate because for some reason they put the out-of-state students in these apartments on campus, even though I asked to be in a residence hall because I wanted the community. I'm an extrovert. They put us in like it's 4 single-bedroom apartment. And my first year. And then after that, I was an RA.
Dude,
So
what?
I never had a roommate until I moved in with a previous partner of mine.
So did you, two things I want to talk about.
Let's
Did
go.
you, first one, did you hate living alone as a freshman?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. What was that like?
I was wildly homesick.
Of course.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and fortunately, there were 4 people in the apartment. It was 1 junior and 3 freshmen. So that was nice that there were 2 other freshmen in there. And one of them is still. I was his best man. I just surprised him for his 40th birthday in Chicago, and so he and I have continued to be friends. The other guy, I think we still would be friends. We just fell out of touch. He's a great dude. No beef, no anything.
Right.
Just life took us different ways, and
Yeah.
but yeah. But it was I was miserable in my first year, despite being an extroverted, outgoing, genuinely curious, funny guy. I was wildly homesick my first year and questioned a lot. I didn't put myself out there. I told myself a lot of stories of you're not cool enough, funny enough, smart enough, right? Like all the insecurities came out because I was in a place that was new, and everybody there knew someone from high school because I went to a state school in North Carolina, but I'm from New York, and so yeah, there was just a lot. I wrote a lot of stories and didn't put myself out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what happened, man. Fortunately, we came around and I fell absent after I got involved. This is why people tell students to get involved, right? Is that it takes you from being a participant in the college experience to being an owner of your college experience. And that's, getting involved in res life and becoming an RA.
Yeah.
Literally flipped the script to the point where I then worked at colleges and universities and still do a lot of work in that industry.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about. I didn't know we have a couple parallels that I had no idea. I was also an RA for 2 years at Temple. Yeah.
You were Temple. Go Owls.
Go Owls. Yeah, baby. There it is. Look at that.
I've spoken there a few times.
Okay.
Yeah, right in downtown Philly. That's dope.
That's it, man. That's it.
Yeah. Was being an RA, how would you describe that experience looking back at it? Did you like it? Did it have an impact on you?
Yeah, absolutely had an impact on me. It pushed me out of my comfort zone for sure. I lived there's a residence hall on Temple's campus called 1300. I was a resident in 1300 freshman year. I was an RA there sophomore and junior year. So I was in the same building all 3 years, which is great. My first year as an RA, I was this sophomore with swishy hair. I wore bandanas all the time. And they put me in charge of the top floor of the one of the wings of the top floor, which were all juniors and seniors in athletic programs.
Yeah.
So like basketball players and football players. And then there was me, this skinny little sophomore theater kid who was supposed to be the RA that advised and looked over this hall of people that seemed like full-grown adults to me. And I was like,
sure.
What? It was super uncomfortable for like the first 2 months, simply because, as you know, as someone who also went through it, the process of trying to learn how to be a good RA and learn all of the do's and don'ts, and then also just to be there as a confidant or like someone that they could turn to. It was just hard to come into that as a sophomore who was also drowning in insecurities at the time.
Yeah. Right.
So that was tough. But then the next year I had freshmen, and then I became very close with 4 other RAs on my staff. And it just felt like 1 year of a sleepover. Honestly, it was just like, we used to just play video games in each other's rooms. We were hanging out with the residents. We were like, spending time. A lot of residents became friends that we still all talk to this day. It was a very special experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
That's so freaking cool. Yeah, I love that. And yeah, you're right. That first year of leadership is weird, regardless of who's on your floor. You had an exceptional, because I mean, Temple, that's a D1 school, right? So you got some big boys walking around.
Yeah.
And people with full grown beards. Meanwhile, you're barely poking out a pube.
Still to this day.
To this day.
To this very day.
My downfall. Fist. So yeah, but it was a wildly transformative time. Like I'm a professional speaker. I know you know that, and I talk predominantly about leadership, and I am able to talk about leadership because of my experience that started as an RA. And I still even there. I don't know if this is a good thing to say or not on here, but I teach stories from when I was an RA, and I just flip a few details around to make it sound like I was leading a team and this is what I was going through. And I now tell corporate audiences a few of my RA stories, but I make them sound as if they were, I was 32 as a brand new manager, right? Because leadership is leadership. Right. Exactly. It's still humans, and there's still, I don't know. But at the same time, egos are involved. So you don't always want to tell the audience that. Like, this guy's telling us freaking high school stories over here.
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah. But it was, I mentioned that because it was such a transformative time. My wife likes to joke and says, I think we would have a twin extra long bed in our bedroom if James could. And I agree. It's a good length bed.
Yes, it is. It does the job. It's all you need for one person.
Yeah.
I love that. With a partner, it gets a little dicey,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Fortunately, I was wildly single for most of my college career.
We love to see it.
You love to see it.
You love to see it.
But I appreciate what you said, where it's like, we're still close to this day with a lot of those folks. I'm actually, I wound up working as a hall director after college. And yeah, I got a master's in counseling with an emphasis in working with college students, and wound up working as a hall director for a while. And I'm officiating one of my old RA's weddings in May. And so, like, it's just, right. Like, just, I don't know, it's just, the community that you build is really beautiful because you're living in the same space, you're seeing the same things, you're going through the same stuff, and you make the choice of, like, are we going to lean on each other, or are we going to isolate? And
exactly,
it's beautiful to hear that you found a really cool community there.
Yeah. Where you and I are both very lucky in that regard. I think not a lot of people get to experience that in college right away, know? So.
Yeah, I agree. I could nerd out about this for a while, but we got to keep it pushing.
That's very cool, man. I did not know that. That's awesome.
That was a dope thing to have in common. So you go to Temple. Did you go to Temple with the idea of, I'm going to study theater?
No, I actually started as a journalism major.
Oh, that's right. You mentioned that earlier. Okay.
Yeah. When I was about to graduate high school, I knew that's what I wanted to study theater, but my guidance counselor in high school said, if you go for theater, you're never going to get a job. You should do something else, which I guess is the guidance counselor's job. But also, like, why, if I was a guidance counselor and there was a kid in my shoes who had done the musicals with great success for 3 years in high school and wanted to go to college to own his skill set, why would you not support that? To this day, I just don't understand. Mrs. Boast, I think you missed a pitch on that one. But this is not about Mrs. Boast. All this to say,
let's fire up cancel culture on Mrs. Boast.
That's right. Can you drop a graphic banner? # cancel Boast. No, she's a lovely woman. I wish her very, very well. I haven't talked to her in over a decade. But yeah, I got to college, did 3 semesters of journalism, and I just remember specifically, there was a night that I was in my XL twin bed in my RA room with all my athletes, and I was reading a book, and it was a journalism book, and I put it down, and I was like, I can't do this. This is, like, not what I want to do. And that night, I went online and I looked at the curriculum for theater, and then I talked to my friends, and I called my parents 2 days later, and they're like, do it, go for it. And luckily, I was able to use 9 of the 12 journalism credits I already had to put them towards gen ed requirements for my theater degree. So I was able to get out on time in 2014, which is great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's dope. So in studying theater, were you interested in doing musicals? Ideally, were you straight plays? Like, when you thought about theater dreams at that time, what did they look like?
Yeah, I think I was always more attracted to TV and film, straight play acting.
Yeah.
But I sang in a cappella groups my entire 4 years of college. And
you did.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Let me say, this is pre-Pitch Perfect, when maybe, I was drinking the Kool-Aid, but it felt like a cool thing at the time. In retrospect, I'm sure it was whack as hell, but at the time,
you got it.
all of us were so psyched on it. I was in a co-ed group and an all-male group. We had a blast. I did that for all 4 years. I grew up playing in bands with my buddies. Music was an instrumental part of my life. And so when I switched to theater, the girl, a good friend of mine to this day named Katie, who's actually in LA right now, she helped me get into the theater program. She was a diehard musical theater major. And so my circle kind of became musical theater. And so I was kind of subconsciously drifted into the musical theater lane, even though to this day, it's really not something that I love. I just don't connect with traditional musical theater like some people do, like my girlfriend does.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it was playing Alphabet on the national tour or just finished. And so I did 2 musicals at Temple, and then going to New York after graduation, I found myself auditioning for musical theater. And it took me 6 months to a year in New York to realize that I'm walking upstream. This is like not what I want to do. I did it at school because my friends did. And that I think it was a combination of me switching late to theater and trying to just like find my footing and really find what my artistic voice was. And it took me until I was 27 to really figure it out. There's a lot of rumbling and tumbling for a couple of years there.
Yeah, sure. You know, you brought up a powerful word when you were talking about your first year of being an RA, and I can hear it kind of coming up a little bit now as well. You talked about some of the insecurities, and you're right. As I mentioned, being a first year college student, I was wildly insecure. Didn't go up to anybody. Didn't seek to build community. Just kind of hoped it would come to me because I was, I don't know, was afraid that I wouldn't be liked, and so going into theater is fascinating because it's the island of misfit toys a lot of times. But at the same time, it's the tightest crew you're ever going to be with. Yeah. Right. It's like, oh shit, we found each other. This is beautiful. Right. I did all the musicals in high school. It was in Guys and Dolls and Carousel and a handful of others too that I can't recall right now. But anyway, but I did all the plays, and so and in high school, that was the crew that I rolled with, and would have done more in college, but I went to the theater department at my school to see if I could audition just to do a play on the side. And the guy literally told me, you will never get cast as anything more than a tree if you're not a theater major.
Oh my God.
Damn. I'd never seen anything. I never auditioned, knew any. I was like, and that was enough for me. I was like, okay, great. Well, I don't want to be a tree. So I'd be a damn good tree, sir, but still.
Damn right.
But yeah. And so that kind of put the kibosh on that, which is why I was grateful to have found improv in college. And, To Your Acapella was my improv, and we find our people. But, during that time that you were revisiting / cultivating and growing your love for theater, what were some of those insecurities that you had? What were some of those thoughts that were swirling in your head that were potentially holding you back?
Oh man, I mean, am I a good enough singer? Am I attractive enough? Which unfortunately is a big part of theater, TV, film, whatever. Do I have what it takes to find to dip into the emotional well to connect in a way that makes me a good actor? There are other people that look like me that are getting jobs that I think I might be able to get. Just jumping into the theater pond at all, which my whole life I've been told was incredibly difficult to do and a reckless decision to make. The list of insecurities go on, and some of those insecurities have lasted. They've left their mark to this very day. Yeah. It's just, I think, and I'm sure obviously you can speak to this too. The older you get, I think are we allowed to curse here?
Please fucking do.
Yeah. Okay. The less fucks you give, it just it really doesn't matter.
Yes.
But it's taken me into I turned 30 in a couple of months. It's taken me this long to get to a place for the first time where if I go to an open mic or if I audition for something, I just don't give a shit how people might interpret what I'm doing. If it's authentic to me and if it feels exciting or if it feels fun, if it makes me laugh, I've only now this year of my life gotten to a point where I'm just like, I don't give a shit. This is you. Some people are going to like it. Some people aren't. And I think for a long time switching to theater in my early 20s, I thought that I needed to please everyone. Mm-hmm. And I spent my first couple of years in New York feeling that way too. And I think that's why I didn't really work that much. It's because I was trying to conform to what I thought people wanted. And I wasn't just like following my own instincts directly enough. So
yeah. That was beautifully put, brother. And I appreciate that. And I also want to let's call attention to this, because you said that you switched your, sophomore, junior year into being a theater major. And so let's call that 10 years or so of sitting in the idea of trying to please people, or letting the nose hit you in a way that they slowed you down or deflected you or caused you to doubt, or all the things that nose will tell us. And building that skin is something that all actors have to do, all musicians have to do, but they never talk about how long it's going to take, right? I took a Brooke and Mary commercial auditioning class, and
so did I,
right,
James,
of
what
course
the hell?
We all did, brother.
Yeah, we all did. We all did.
And they told us in that class, like, you need to hear no 50 times before you start getting comfortable with just showing up at auditions. And that number of 50 is different for everybody. Like, for some people it's 150, for other people it's 5, because they just come in with a thick skin. Like, here I am. That was never me, right? My Achilles heel is I have a deep desire for people to like me. And it's something, as you mentioned, that still affects me today as I'm turning 40 this year. Right. And you're turning 30, and it's something that we hold on to. It's a story that is hard to rewrite. And I think it's incredible that you have this year realized and been able to see in yourself that you are rewriting it. What do you think? What was the difference maker for you? Is it like, what was the final, like, enough, right? I'm done. I'm good enough. Either you like me or you don't. I'm still coming as me.
Yeah.
Was there a switch that flipped? Was it getting an accolade of like, hey, good enough for American Idol, good enough for you, shitty commercial, whatever, person, right? Like what was it?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I honestly can't trace it back to a specific instance of anything. Like, I don't think that there was one moment.
Yeah.
I think just recently, I think it was a combination of the shutdown, of quarantining, and realizing, holy shit, like, we could lose all of this at any time. Why am I not going balls to the wall, just leaning in and owning who I am and just trying to create whatever it is that I love to create? Because I may not always have the opportunity to share that, as cheesy as that may sound.
Yeah.
I think also in combination of just like making my own stuff. And by stuff, I mean like musical comedy, short form videos, stuff like that. Writing these songs. I've done it for long enough now, 3-4 years consistently, that I know that I'm pretty good at it. And I think it's just a combination of like putting time into that lane and realizing that no one's ever gonna like come out of the blue and serve you an opportunity in a silver platter because you are trying to fit a mold. I just think it's basically, it's a long way of saying just time. I'm in my late 20s, about to turn 30, and I just don't give a fuck anymore. It's like, there's no time to waste. There's, it's like I've tried, I spent 4 years trying to make myself into someone that I don't really think that what's an articulate way to say this? Just tried to make myself into someone that I wasn't, and over time, fit a mold. Tried to fit a mold, which I guess I already said, but too much time doing that, and then not really making enough progress. Like, I look back at my time in New York, and I'm very, very happy at the things that I accomplished and the people that I met, and the circle of work that I fell into. But to this day, like, I don't really think that I accomplished anything that I'm truly, truly proud of. And I think that's because I spent a lot of time just trying to fit a mold. And it took me until 29 to be able to look back, and I've done a lot of reflecting over the past 2 years, as many of us have. And I can always trace it back to me just like not being authentic and true to me.
That's badass, brother. It's beautiful. It is. I know it has been a journey, because you've thrown a lot of spaghetti at the wall, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you're not like, I'll audition for something next month.
No.
Right? Like, no, you're out there, you're hustling, you're putting it out there, you're putting up videos. Some are getting hundreds of thousands of views and some are getting hundreds of views, and just, you're fighting algorithms, you're fighting everything. And it's been incredible to watch as your friend. And even, I mean, I've probably known you for let's call it 4 or 5 years. And that's when we started following each other on social media. And it's been incredible. It's been really incredible to watch from, the half of that 10-year journey that I've been able to see. And it's beautiful, right? I mean, so much so that you decided to move out of New York, and you said, if you dare to find me, look to the western sky. And moved to LA. Sorry, you mentioned your girl Talia and Whitney. I had to drop something in here.
Right? Shout out Talia.
Alpha Bomb, the national tour just came off. But still, man, but you moved to LA, right? You're like, you're making moves of like, no, this is what I'm freaking doing, world.
Yep.
And you go catch this sauce.
Yes.
And my audience, I will find my audience, and my audience will find me, and we're going to form a beautiful hive, and we gonna rock it till the wheels fall off. That is, as you know, because you're now coming out of it, way easier said than done. So many people get stuck for perfectly legitimate reasons, and other reasons that are just stories they tell themselves in this ain't for me. Right? This is hard. Yep. This is it. And that's, so I want to give you kudos, for your stick-to-itiveness. And I agree. The pandemic was a really beautifully reflective time of what are we doing out here? What matters? What are we trying to do? It's also a really good time for you to amplify your voice, as all we had was the internet to connect. And I think you did a great job of taking advantage of that moment too. And so it's cool because now, Tom, you are a musical comedian. You are a musician who writes comedic songs. Is that how you identify? Would you say a musical comedian? What's your term? You don't have to put yourself in a box, but put yourself in a box.
That's how, if I had to choose a box, that would be it. You can tape me up, musical comedian.
Sounds good. Yeah. You're in. I'll poke a couple holes. Nice. So, but this is such a fascinating genre. I grew up listening to Weird Al, Dr. Demento. I had Rodney Dangerfield's I Got No Respect on vinyl, and which randomly had some songs on it, which are just terrible. It's like a few really shitty songs interspersed with some really great stand-up. And but musical comedy has, outside of theater, I don't know if it's ever gotten the love it deserves. And so even just as you talk about, like, even a cappella sometimes get lumped into a musical comedy of like, it's a little kitschy genre that the kids enjoy from there. Everybody goes through their a cappella spout. But a cappella is badass, right? It's still badass.
Totally.
So how did you find musical comedy as a genre that you were like, this is fun, but I think I'm good at it, and let's keep going?
Yeah. Like I said, a little while back, music has just been a large part of my life since I was a kid. I grew up after school. We used to go to my buddy Nick's house. He had a basement with a PA, bass, drums, guitar, piano. After school, we'd just go and we'd dick around. We'd play covers, play Blink-182 songs. We all taught each other all of these instruments. And through high school, I did that. And through college, I kept playing piano. And so when I found that comedy is what I really wanted to do, and I found comedy through auditioning for musicals in New York, not booking anything, and just wanting a creative outlet. And so I made this parody of a Bachelorette audition tape. And it was received well online, and all of a sudden I was like, holy shit, this was creatively fulfilling. It was, my friends thought it was funny, and a lot of people said, make more stuff like this. And so I was like, fuck it. I have nothing to lose. I'm in New York. Give the people what they want. I'm not working in theater. Let's make some stuff. And so when I found comedy, it just kind of felt like a natural intersection of like music is the one thing that I love most. And now I've fallen in love with this new thing, which is comedy. Why can't we try to make both work? And then obviously I'd been a fan of The Lonely Island and Adam
Oh, yeah.
Sandler and Stephen
Yep.
Lynch and Weird Al growing up. You know, like Running with Scissors was a staple album in my minivan growing up. And so
Mhm.
I used to listen to so much Weird Al. And I knew it was possible, but it wasn't until I found Bo Burnham that I was like, oh, this is like a thing, that Fly to the Conchords, you know, like these guys doing these very, and not necessarily, obviously not all guys, like Garfunkel and Oates, another amazing duo, doing these things that, you know, a blend of two can exist. And so I
Yes.
started to make music videos, and a lot of it, again, like, because I love to freestyle, I love to just mess around and like
Mhm.
just rap with my friends just for fun. And The Lonely Island was doing it. A lot of my early stuff was heavily inspired. It's like comedic hip hop, just because I found it very easy to write. And I thought it was funny for a white dude to rap about pigeons or to rap about tendonitis. You know, like I
Yeah.
felt like I could get away with that. And it was just fun to make. And so from there, I started experimenting with different genres, and now the dream is to just basically form some sort of musical comedy brand with by myself or with other people or with this new band Wolves of Glendale I've been playing with, that can prove that musical comedy is not just a kitschy little thing.
Yes.
It's not just a cute
Yes.
genre. I really want to make it clear commercially and in popular, in the zeitgeist, that like it's possible to have great songs that you would listen to alone that happen to be about really dumb shit.
Mhm.
And I just really want to make that a well-known thing. And so that's the goal kind of moving out here to LA, is to lean into that.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
brother. Yeah, you know I'm in.
Yeah.
Right. I've drank this sauce.
Yeah.
And as a freestyle rapper who does, you know, hip hop comedy freestyling, right? Like, so yeah, you know, you're preaching to the choir here, but we need to keep preaching, so we're going
Yeah.
to. And it's I think that you pointed out, you brought up a couple of individuals that I didn't even list off. Obviously, Bo Burnham, incredible, and Lonely Island. I feel like
Yeah.
Lonely Island has been the closest we've got to legitimacy of this a little bit.
Yes.
And it's the contrast of hysterical lyrics over perfect production, like
Right.
truly not half-assed, incredible sounding, expensive videos, right? Like, and it's that contrast that's almost what makes Lonely Island even funnier. And it's, you know, it just draws you in. And so a shout out to them. They're big listeners here, but
Yeah. They love the pod.
so oh yeah, they're kicking in the diner on the regs. But yeah, I think that's I think that's incredible. And you know, as someone who also loves hip hop, we also see how in comedy and hip hop has not always been a good thing either, right? Like Ludacris, in my opinion, Ludacris is probably in my top 5 as far as lyricism, as far as wordplay, as far as flow, like and the ability to pick incredible production, right? Ludacris always has fire beats under him, but he'll never be put in people's top 5 because he's too funny. Right.
Right.
He's just his wordplay is too comedic. And so people will never give him the credit that he is due, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, if you got a song with a Ludacris verse on it, you know it's going to be fire.
That's true.
And so I don't know if you've sensed that as well, but in hip hop, you know, there's so much of that. If you are funny in hip hop, you never get the credit you deserve either.
Yes. Which is why I think someone like Lil Dicky has a really interesting thing going on,
Yes.
because he's like, he really treads the line of, I'm a legitimate rapper, but I think as a white Jewish dude from Cheltenham, I know that like this isn't a traditional hip hop vibe. And he really walks the line. Like, he's obviously a comedic rapper, but he has everything that, like you mentioned, what makes Ludacris great in terms of like
Yes.
fire production, amazing wordplay, sick flow. But obviously I've heard a lot of, like, I've seen interviews with rappers that talk shit on Lil Dicky, even though he was in the XXL freshman class. Like a lot of people obviously won't take him seriously because of the things that he's doing. I don't really even know where I was going with that, but I know what you're saying. Like if there's an element of comedy sprinkled on top of it, people aren't going to put you in the same tier as Nas or Kendrick or, you know, some of the greats that people consider some of the best to do it, regardless of how good your flow is and how good your writing is and your production.
Correct. So, and I could listen to Lil Dicky freestyles all day. I mean, he's written stuff as well. It's just wild amount of talent. But we also see it in, I'm sure if we were to, I'm sure someone has run these numbers, but if you look at who's gotten the Oscars for Best Actor and Best Actress, they're 9 times out of 10, if not more, people from dramas as opposed to people from comedies. Comedy as a whole is just not as respected, even though it's harder. Right. And I don't just say that as like a bitter comedian. It's like, no, this is hard, you guys. Right. Like it just truthfully is. And you talk to most actors and they'll all tell you comedy is harder than drama. Yeah. And so anyway, we could probably come down off our high horse right now. I think we've made our point, but still, but one more thing. No, one more thing. Yes. Hold my gimlet. That's a callback. So,
comedy. That
wasn't easy. I'm exhausted. Yeah. So, but I love that. That's one of the biggest reasons for you getting out to LA and for really just you smashing the gas on it and adding legitimacy. You get the opportunity with American Idol. Was that just wild? Like, what was that? Was that like, it's got to be a crazy experience. It was like, what the hell am I actually doing here?
Yeah, that was trippy. Definitely trippy. I don't consider myself a singer, a vocalist at all, which is why I love to sing, but I'm not a singer like some of my friends in New York are. I'm not a vocalist first, you know. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none type. And so I never auditioned for American Idol or The Voice or anything like that because I'm not an idiot and I'm not having delusions of grandeur here. I know that that's not for me. And so when I got the opportunity to do it because of a TikTok that had popped off, casting reached out to me directly and was like, "Hey, we're coming out of the pandemic in this season. We want things to be a little lighter. Would you be willing to come on and audition and join, and maybe do something fun?" And I was like, "Yeah, why the hell not? It's a pandemic. Life is short. Let's go for it."
Yeah, right.
And so at the time I had been writing these jingles, which, long story short, I started in the pandemic to try to spread some good vibes and make a little extra money. I offered to just write custom songs for people about any occasion, birthdays, send a message to a roommate, tell somebody you love them kind of thing. I did that for a number of months and they caught some traction online. I got a little write-up on people.com, which is very cool. And so Idol found that after finding my TikTok and we're like, "Hey, it'd be fun if you wrote a jingle for the judges." And I was like, "Great." And so I went with the premise of like things that my mom told me about all of you guys. She found out that I was auditioning for American Idol. And so she went on Wikipedia and read all about all of the things that Lionel, Katie, and Luke have done. And I just put like random little pieces of trivia into a 60-second song and I sang it. And then I got to fly to LA and I got to sing it in front of them. And I made eye contact with Luke Bryan and Lionel Richie and Katy Perry. And it was crazy. Lionel Richie gave me a standing ovation after I sang the jingle, which it was fucking wild, man. It was so cool.
And you were like, "Hello, is it me you're looking for?"
I was like, exactly. "Hello, Lionel. Let me sing your song to you." It was very cool. You know, like I don't think that the whole American Idol crew is amazing. I don't think that I would do it again because reality TV is a lot of puppeteering and it's a lot of like framing the way that they want to frame things. Like I was in the room for 17, 18 minutes. They cut the audition down to 2 and then they underscored it with some like derpy pizzicato string music at the end I wasn't like super jazzed on how things turned out. Yeah. But what the cool part was, that was in October. Fast forward to May for the finale. Producers reach out to me again and they say, "Hey, we want to fill time in the finale. You were one of the first people that we talked about because we had such a great time hanging out with you and we loved your song. Would you want to write a season summary song that summarizes the whole season 4? And then we'll fly you back out and we'll pay you SAG-AFTRA union rate to perform this song on the finale stage." And I was like, "Fuck yeah, why not? This is
who was saying no to this?"
Exactly.
And I don't know.
No.
I
I think I
brunch
gotta
that
do.
day.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm supposed to eat eggs at 11 p.m. in Midtown. I can't do it. Uh, what was cool is the producers even prefaced the call with like, if you don't hate us after how your audition was aired, we'd love to have you back on. And that was
Mhm.
just a nice thing of them to say. And
Yeah.
so I did that, and that was fun. And yeah, man, it was just like that was like a bucket list thing that I didn't even know I had intended to do. It's very
Yeah,
cool.
for sure. And there's no such thing as bad press, right? With a
No,
few exceptions. Yeah. So I mean, what an incredible opportunity to put your talent on display, to legitimize it, and just like it's just amplification of your badassery. And
yeah,
what a cool opportunity. And so we do Idol, and then we make the move to LA. I know you said you just got out of boxes recently,
mhm.
which is always fun. And tell me about the Wolves of Glendale, this new
Yeah.
band that you're a part of.
So this has been a lot of fun so far, man. My bandmates are named Ethan and Eric, and they were in a successful comedy band out here called the Cooties for 4 or 5 years.
Strong name.
Um, strong name, strong band. They wrote very, very funny songs. And I
Mhm.
found out about them in quarantine because someone had tagged a Cooties song and a Tom McGovern song in a story. And then I dug into all their stuff, and I was like, holy shit, finally a band that like emphasizes musicality with the comedy to match. Like they were really well produced, well written, very funny songs with like 90-second like beautifully written solo breaks for no reason, and then they go
Yeah.
back into like talking about like going to a coffee shop and taking a dump. It's like this is amazing.
This
And
is it.
this is it. This is mom. This is what I want to be proud of. Okay, I want to write songs like that. And I messaged Ethan on Instagram. I was like, hey man, if I ever get out to LA, this is before I even knew I was moving, I would love to I love what you guys are doing. I'd love to like hang out or write something together. Fast forward to me moving, I meet up with Ethan. We become very, very fast friends, just kind of like brother from another mother situation.
Hell yeah.
We start writing. We're having a great time. It feels very easy. And then the Cooties parted ways last month, and I got together with Eric and Ethan, and we jammed, and it was just very, very right away. It was just easy. Like we wrote a song the first time that we jammed, and it felt really fun. And they, having just left the Cooties, were eager to do something new, and so we just started kind of playing, and we've only played 2 shows so far because this is like week 3 of Wolves of
Right. Yeah.
Glendale.
That's pretty
You
good.
know? Yeah, not bad, not bad. Ethan's a go-getter in terms of booking, and I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. We've written 2 songs, 2.5 songs. We played both of these shows, and it's been the reception has been great, and we're just excited to see where it goes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man. I love
yeah.
that. That's great. Now, so for you, where do you get where do your nerves get tweaked the most in a cool way? Is it the writing process? Is it the performing? Like what is it? What is it for you? Where do you think you get the most hype?
Right now, it's the writing process for sure
Yeah.
because I've never played in a comedy band before like this. I did some duo writing with one of the most talented people that I've ever met. His name's Nate Hopkins, and we did a thing in New York for a while called Tom and Nate, which is like a musical comedy duo. We wrote some songs, and writing with one other person felt more natural to me. I'd always written alone because I just didn't. I was sick of like trying to organize things and having people flake. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just do it myself. Like I'll just write everything, produce
Yeah.
everything by myself, and that's fine. But there's a
Mhm.
ceiling there unless you're a superhuman like Bo Burnham, and I'm sure he also had some help along the way. So writing with Nate felt very easy too, and we spoke the same language in a lot of ways. But then getting into the room with the Wolves of Glendale, Eric and Ethan have a very similar voice. They've known each other for 10 years. They played in a band together for 5 years. It feels like a writer's room, and I've never been in a formal writer's room where like
Yeah.
we're just like sitting down playing shit and just pitching, trying to find the absolute funniest lyric for this part of the song. And even at this stage, it feels intimidating to me, and it gets my nerves
Yeah.
going because it's just like I'm not super comfortable with just like the fearless pitching of ideas yet. And I think it's something that'll come with time, but it's been a huge learning experience, even just for the month that we've been doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. The performing feels easy, like getting up on stage and playing the songs. I cannot wait to do that. I don't get nerves. I just get like the excited butterflies. I'm not like, oh shit, I don't want to do this. It's just like, I can't fucking wait to do this.
Those good nerves. You know? Yeah.
Good
those say our names, damn. I don't want to get on the stage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. I totally hear that. That's beautiful, man. And I love how you described that writer's room. That is such an interesting moment that you described, where it's like, I'm around people and we're working together and we're pitching stuff to each other, but there's still that insecurity. And because it's new to you, you're new to them. And it's just weird. Right.
Yeah.
This is why like writing groups and why, things like that, where we find people who are working on similar projects to us matter, because they push us. We don't just settle. We don't just say, I think I'm done for the day. We don't just, whatever it is, it's, being a part of those crews, whatever it is, right? If you're someone who makes knives, you forge knives, right? Like hang out with other people who forge knives, and hang out with, people who throw pottery, and hang out with people who whatever, like you have to get around some of those folks, because it's the cliche thing that they say, like, I never want to be the smartest person in the room, right? Yep. It's the same idea. I think it's cool that your nerves are fired up in that moment, because that means you're standing on the edge of something special.
Yeah.
Right. Like we don't yeah, I think that's great. A friend of mine likes to say, if you're not standing on the edge, then you're taking up too much room.
Hey,
and I appreciate that you've realized that, and you've stepped into it and leaned into it as a way to elevate what has already been success. And so I'm hyped for you, brother.
Thanks, man. That's very nice of you to say that. That means a lot. And I like the way you put it. It's or the way your friend put it. You're taking up too much space if you're not on the edge. So that's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom, it's been a damn pleasure getting to kick it in the diner with you, my guy.
Dude, this has been great. My clothes are going to smell like potatoes and oil for 10 hours.
And you're welcome.
Thank you.
That leads us to our next sponsor. No.
Canola oil.
Canola oil. Downy.
Downy.
So, brother, let people know where they can find you. Where can they find the Wolves of Glendale? And just let people know how they can experience some of your hystericalness.
Yeah, you can find me across socials, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, at Tom McGovern 27. You can find the Wolves of Glendale on Instagram at Wolves of Glendale. We have 2 posts because, again, we are in our infancy, but stay tuned. We'll be posting about shows. We're playing all over LA, and we'll do an East Coast run, hopefully, if things pan out, August, September. So keep an eye out for that.
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah. Brother, so cool getting to know you better. I appreciate you, man. We had some real fun similarities.
Yeah.
And this was special, like I knew it would be, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Dude, thank you so much for having me on. You're a great dude, and I just love your energy, and this is very cool. I really appreciate you having me.
Let's go. Y'all, that was my time with my man Tom McGovern from the Wolves of Glendale. You got to check this band out. I know I got to check this band out. But I love the journey that he talked about. This idea that, someone said, that sounds like it's going to be hard, or nobody makes it if you do that. And then you realize there's just something burning inside of you that's like, no, this is what I got to do. What voices are you pushing down because you think it's what you're supposed to do, where there's not going to be success, or it's not traditional? What are some of those voices that you can allow to sing? Start a hobby, start a side hustle, start something like that. You don't have to just quit your job and tell your family, that's it, we're getting in an RV. But if you want to do that, do it too. But either way, it was just so cool listening to Tom. And I love that he's fighting against the stream. A good friend, a quote that's very famous that I did not say, and I don't know who did, but it's only dead fish go with the flow. And I love that Tom is out here going against the flow and using his brilliance to make other people smile. It's just dope. Thank you so much for hanging out with Tom and I in the diner. And the next time, my friends, you're faced with an awkward small talk conversation, do me a favor. Punch it in the face by asking better questions. I appreciate you all. Have a wonderful day. Take care.